Welcome to the Dark Ozarks. We're discussing tales of terror and hauntings in the Northern Ozarks. We'll get back to that in a minute, but first we want to remind you that the Dark Ozarks podcast is now available on Branson Podcast Network, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, Google Podcasts, or about any other podcast platform.
From the bloodiest 40. What's that?
So, what's spooky in the Northern Ozarks?
From the bloodiest 47 acres in America to the true story behind the blues classic Stagger Lee and hauntings from prisons and more, the Jefferson City, Columbia, Missouri area has a number of entries in the Dark Ozarks universe.
We'll return to the Northern Ozarks in a minute, but first we want to invite you to like, follow, subscribe Dark Ozarks on Facebook, Instagram, and here on YouTube, as well as your favorite podcast platform. We also invite you to become a Dark Ozarks subscriber on Facebook. On the Dark Ozarks Facebook page, click subscribe, have your login information ready, and join Dark Ozarks behind the scenes for only $4.99 a month.
Your $4.99 per month subscription allows you to come with us on paranormal investigations, deep dive research, and topics too controversial for public view. The next 100 subscribers will be entered in a drawing for a free Dark Ozarks t-shirt and an exclusive signed first-run copy of the book Dark Ozarks, The Spooklight. Subscribe today to be entered in the drawing.
And now you can get Dark Ozarks t-shirts for sale at darkozarks.com and paranormalsciencelab.com.
We encourage you to check out Always Buying Books in Joplin, Missouri, in person and online on Facebook and at the website alwaysbuyingbooks.com for all your reading needs, including a large section on the paranormal, history, and more. Not to mention, the building is haunted. Tell Bob and Elise that we sent you.
We also want to thank Beard Engine Brewing Company in Alba, Missouri. Beard Engine Brewing is the only English-style brewery in Missouri and has been twice named Missouri's best brewery by the Missouri Brewers Association. Great beer and great food in a historical building with a noir past. And yes, their building is also haunted. Tell Nate and Tiff that we sent you. So,
yes.
We're discussing the Northern Ozarks, and one of the most infamous haunted locations in America happens to sit right in the middle of Northern Ozarks, Missouri.
Yes, it does. And we are specifically talking about the old Missouri State Penitentiary in Jefferson City, Missouri. Now, just as a addendum onto the region, there is a surprising amount of Civil War history in this area. I think that is something that a lot of people don't realize. There is also an enormous amount of pre-Civil War history because the expanses along the Missouri River between St. Louis and on up toward Independence, past Sedalia, up toward Independence, up toward Kansas City and St. Joe, were the easiest or the first regions that were settled as Missouri was first becoming a state.
That's very true, which is part of why Jefferson City ended up being the capital. And although not without its controversy and competition from other cities, including St. Louis and Sedalia. And so part of sort of securing that future was building the prison there.
It was. And many people do not, I also suspect, don't realize two things. One, that we are talking about the Northern Ozarks. The Missouri River is the approximate borderline of the Northern Ozarks, but it is not a precise borderline. There are portions of geographically or geologically Ozarks that the Missouri River ultimately cut through. A great example of that is if you are looking north from Hermann, Missouri, across the river, you're going to see large limestone bluffs. You're going to see a continuation of the Ozarks. In 3 years ago, almost 3 years ago, I had the chance to spend a week in the area, just basically enjoying downtime, but also doing preliminary survey research, and got to drive the back roads from having crossed the Missouri River at Herman, and then taken the back roads following the river up, and then crossing and coming back into Jefferson City in the capital. It is an incredibly beautiful drive, but you don't have to drive very much of it to realize that that karst limestone and the flora, the trees, the expanse, minus the river valley itself, is still portions of the Ozarks skirting that edge. Yeah. So it's a fuzzy area. It's a liminal space. And then, of course, coming back to the Missouri State Penitentiary, from its very beginnings, it was a big deal.
It really was. I mean, it as we hinted, it was put there to sort of cement the legitimacy of the new capital. The former capital had been in St. Charles, and also it served as a fort, which most people don't think about, but it served as a fort in the early days. And during the Civil War, it was a prisoner of war camp.
Yes.
So all of those things besides being a prison, it's a lot of history. And a lot of violence over the years, between just violence among the prisoners, riots, deaths from illness, the prisoner of war camp, etc. There really is a reason for the epitaph that it has been known by as the 47 bloodiest acres in America.
It's earned its keep in that regard.
It really has.
I have been outside of the penitentiary. I've not had the opportunity. The last time I was up there, the last time I was in Jeff City, prior to 2020, with time to spend, it was quite a while back. And it was really at a juncture point, I think, when the future of the penitentiary was up in the air. Yeah.
Well, it closed in 2004. It sat empty for a while. And then 4 or 5 years later, they started doing tours. And it started out with basically former employees taking people through. And it started out kind of haphazard. I knew a couple of people who were doing tours, and then it became more organized over time, and they added paranormal tours, ghost tours, private investigations. And then it's been featured on a number of the ghost hunting shows, and its awareness has just exploded.
It has. It has. Just in comparison, there's a handful of other really notable locations. The sanatorium, Waverly, comes to mind. Location in West Virginia.
Yeah, Trans-Allegheny. Mansfield Reformatory in Ohio. You have a few like that. Alcatraz.
Yes.
I'd say probably Alcatraz would be the most logical comparison, actually.
And that really brings the scope of this space, these 47 acres, into perspective, because the world knows Alcatraz, and really I would say that it's fair that if you were outside of Missouri prior to the ghost shows, the ghost hunting shows, if you were outside of Missouri or you were not connected to the Missouri State judicial system, the penitentiary at Jeff City was probably not enormously upon one's radar.
Probably not unless you were really a student of certain outlaws and gangsters, that kind of thing that went through there. And certainly probably not with the awareness of the scope of everything that happened there. But we'll be talking about the prison more in depth, people who went through there, some of the things that have transpired and come out into pop culture, as well as other hauntings in the region in our long video that will be up tomorrow.
Yes.
So don't forget to check out the other video coming tomorrow. And don't forget to check out upcoming events and merchandise at darkozarks.com and paranormalsciencelab.com. Thank you again to Always Buying Books and Beard Engine Brewing Company for helping to bring the Dark Ozarks to everyone.
On the next episode, we discuss how we perceive dark history and the paranormal changes with pop culture. Catch the Dark Ozarks podcast on Branson Podcast Network, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, Google Podcasts, or about any other podcast platform. Thank you, everyone. And remember, there are no easy answers in the dark.